There is a hard truth. Your lifespan may be leaking away, minute by minute, during the quietest time of the day right before you close your eyes. If you are over 60, even a single bedtime habit that seems harmless can force your heart to work harder, starve your brain of oxygen in silence, and leave you waking the next morning with a neck stiff as wood, a chest heavy as stone, and a mind so foggy it feels as if a piece of memory has slipped away. No one wants to believe that, because we like to think, as long as I can sleep, my body will heal itself. But science patiently tells us the opposite. The way you prepare for sleep can decide the health of your blood vessels, the flexibility of your spine, the speed of your brain's aging, and even your risk of falls, strokes, or dementia over time. I have met countless people who say, "I am used to it, doing this at night helps me fall asleep." That familiarity is like a soft armchair placed right at the edge of a cliff, warm and comforting when you sit down, but tilt just a little too far and you plunge into the void. The 4 bedtime habits we are about to open together, habits you may have carried for many years, are quiet. They do not cause pain immediately, but they slowly erode the strength of your heart, slow the flow of blood to your brain, and disrupt the fragile biological clock that grows even more sensitive after 60. The good news is you do not have to change your whole life overnight. With the right understanding, with small, timely adjustments, you will begin to feel your heartbeat settle, your breath deepen, and your mind clear when morning comes. Stay with me, because what follows may not only extend your lifespan, it may save you from dangers you have not even realized are waiting. 1. Sleeping on your stomach. Last night, perhaps you buried your face in the pillow, as you have done for many years, feeling a sense of safety spreading from your forehead down to your chest, like being wrapped in a familiar blanket. Then morning came, and your neck felt as heavy as if it carried an iron collar, your lower back ached dully, and a wave of dizziness hit the moment you sat up. We tend to blame age, the weather, or a restless night. But if sleeping face down has become your nightly companion, it may well be this very posture that silently twists your neck to its limit, flattens the natural curve of your spine, compresses your chest, and forces your heart to work harder to make up for hours of shallow breathing. Imagine your spine as a graceful bow, its shaped curve, designed to disperse pressure so that every vertebra and every disc can truly rest. When you sleep on your stomach, that bow is pressed into a stiff, straight rod, with force concentrated in the lower back and the tiny joints behind the spine. For older adults, especially those with arthritis, osteoporosis, or chronic back pain, this nightly distortion is like tightening a screw a half turn more every day. It does not snap immediately, but it gradually wears down. Biomechanical studies published in specialized journals have shown that the prone position increases load on the lumbar spine compared with neutral postures, such as side-lying or controlled supine. And the price often shows up as stiffness, difficulty bending, or struggling to twist your body when you wake. The most troubling story, however, lies in the neck. To breathe face down, you must turn your head to the side for hours, combining rotation with extension. The small joints between C1 and C4 are stretched, and the nerves passing through them risk being trapped. The sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscles strain all night to hold up the head like an invisible weight, leaving shoulders heavy in the morning, tingling radiating down the arms, and at times sharp, needle-like pain signs of nerve root irritation. Many describe tension-type headaches as if a band were cinched around the forehead. Electromyography studies confirm that prolonged twisted neck postures significantly increase muscle activity. For those with cervical disc herniation or degeneration, this posture can be the spark that sets symptoms aflame. Then comes the breathing. With chest and abdomen pressed into the mattress, the rib cage cannot expand fully, the diaphragm, our second set of lungs, does not descend deeply enough, and the breath becomes shallow and fragmented. In healthy individuals, this may only cause vague daytime fatigue. But for those with chronic lung disease or heart conditions, shallow breathing throughout the night means hidden oxygen deprivation, forcing the heart to beat faster and pump harder in compensation, raising the risk of arrhythmias and hypertension. There is a small exception. A few recent reviews note that for some people with mild sleep apnea, the prone position can slightly reduce airway collapse compared with lying on the back. But it is not a sustainable strategy, because the cost to the spine and breathing usually outweighs the short-term benefit. Have you ever felt a fleeting dizziness the moment you roll over and sit up? When your neck has been twisted beyond its limit all night, the vertebral arteries passing through it can be slightly compressed, reducing blood flow to the brainstem and cerebellum, creating that strange morning lightheadedness, a picture very similar to cervicogenic dizziness. Recent neurological reviews also show that poor sleeping postures, including stomach sleeping, are associated with a higher frequency of such symptoms in middle-aged and older adults. Add in inflammation of muscles and ligaments from prolonged twisting, and your neck will grow increasingly reluctant to turn, while your shoulders will feel heavier and heavier, as though carrying a rainstorm. The long-term impact does not stop there. Poor sleep quality and chronic shallow breathing impose a lasting burden on the cardiovascular system, and longitudinal studies in people over 50 have linked disadvantageous sleeping postures with a higher risk of cardiovascular events over time. The brain suffers as well. During deep sleep, the glymphatic system, the brain's cleaning crew, removes metabolic waste. When sleep is fragmented and oxygen levels remain low, that cleaning process falters, which over time may contribute to cognitive decline. Even the skin is not spared. Pressing your face into the pillow every night creates repeated creases, which can etch early wrinkles into the cheeks and corners of the mouth. So, where is the way out, if you are addicted to the comfort of this posture? You do not need to change everything in one night. Begin with small but precise steps. Switch to an extra thin pillow, or position it so your forehead rests lightly, allowing you to breathe without twisting your neck too far. Place a flat cushion beneath your pelvis to restore some of the spine's natural curve. Choose a mattress that is firm enough to keep your back muscles from sinking, and practice side sleeping with a body pillow running along your torso to keep your shoulders and hips stable. If you are ready to switch completely, side sleeping is widely recommended by experts as the best balance for both spine and breathing. And if you prefer lying on your back, make sure your neck is properly supported to avoid airway compression. The key is this: tonight, make one small adjustment, then repeat it patiently night after night. Your body will relearn the new language of sleep. Sleeping on your stomach may bring immediate comfort, but it is like a shortcut through the forest, quick today, costly tomorrow. When you understand why your neck aches, why your back stiffens, why your heart feels tired after what seemed like a good night's sleep, you will have the motivation to change direction. Begin tonight with one small change, and listen to your body in the morning. If your neck feels lighter, your breath deeper, your mind clearer, then you have already taken a vital step to protect your heart, your brain, and your independence in the years ahead. 2. Sleeping on your back too much. Have you ever considered that lying on your back, the very position so often praised as the gold standard for the spine, could turn into a sweet trap once you are past 60? I used to believe that lying on my back was the safest choice. The spine straight, the neck relaxed, the face free from being pressed against the pillow. But then came the mornings when I woke with a head heavy as fog, a mouth parched dry, and my partner told me I had been snoring loudly, sometimes as if holding my breath. When I began connecting the dots, I realized the problem was not with back sleeping itself, but with staying in that posture for too long, too often, because the body after 60 is no longer the body it was at 40. To be fair, back sleeping does have many valuable advantages. When the spine and neck are in a neutral state, body weight is evenly distributed, pressure points are not overloaded, and the spinal curve is preserved. For people who often struggle with back pain, the sensation of being supported all night is easy to appreciate. The face is protected from being pressed into the pillow, and if you suffer from acid reflux, having the esophagus positioned above the stomach can reduce the burning that climbs up the throat. When breathing is smooth and unobstructed, the chest and diaphragm expand freely, and deep sleep allows the brain's cleaning system to work more effectively. A 2024 study in the journal Sleep even noted that in the absence of breathing disorders, the supine position helps cerebrospinal fluid flow more efficiently, aiding the clearance of metabolic waste. But precisely because it is comfortable, we tend to stay there too long. In older adults, muscle tone in the throat gradually decreases with age. When lying on the back, gravity pulls the tongue and soft palate backward, narrowing the airway. Snoring appears when the airway is only partly open, and sleep apnea occurs when it collapses completely. Sleep studies have shown that the supine position makes this condition worse compared with side sleeping. The prevalence of sleep apnea in older adults is not small. Data published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine in 2025 estimated it could affect up to half, and each apnea episode fragments sleep, drops oxygen levels, and forces the heart to strain in compensation. Repeated night after night, this is tied to higher risks of hypertension, heart failure, and stroke, a heavy price for comfort that feels so harmless. The impact on the brain is even more startling. Deep sleep, the golden stage when the glymphatic system clears beta amyloid and other waste, is broken apart by micro-awakenings from apnea and snoring. A 2025 meta-analysis in Neurology revealed that untreated sleep apnea patients, especially those lying on their back for more than 2 hours each night, faced a significantly higher risk, between 20 and 50% of markers associated with Alzheimer's disease. No wonder that upon waking, memory feels dull, focus is harder to hold, and processing slows. At an age when slow-wave sleep is already diminished, fragmented nights erode cognition even more. For some, back sleeping brings other discomforts. If the head is not elevated properly, reflux may worsen rather than improve, because acid can still reach the esophagus during moments when the valve relaxes in sleep. If the lumbar curve is not supported, you may wake with an aching lower back despite sleeping straight. And though it does not apply to our main audience here, it is worth remembering that in late pregnancy, back sleeping can compress the inferior vena cava, which makes it unsuitable at that stage. More importantly, prolonged apnea caused by supine sleep is linked to arrhythmias and higher stroke risk. Data from Circulation in 2024 reported about a 30% increased risk of stroke in adults over 60 when the condition goes untreated. So what should you do if you truly find back sleeping comfortable, yet struggle with snoring, daytime fatigue, or cognitive fog? Do not try to overturn your habits in a single night. Begin with simple adjustments. Elevate your head and upper body about 30 to 45 degrees with a wedge pillow or adjustable bed. Gravity will become your ally, keeping the airway more open, while also reducing reflux. Place a pillow beneath your knees to support the natural lumbar curve, and choose a firm neck pillow to keep the head and neck aligned rather than overextended. If you tend to roll onto your back all night, positional therapy can help. Sometimes just a small trick is enough to remind your body not to stay supine too long. And if you have been diagnosed with sleep apnea, continuous positive airway pressure is a powerful tool to keep the airway open through the night, restoring deep sleep for both heart and brain. If snoring, persistent fatigue, or morning mental haze continues, a sleep study will give you a clear answer instead of guesswork. What I want you to carry with you tonight is simple. Back sleeping is not bad, but too much is where the problem lies. Try raising the head of the bed slightly, place a pillow under your knees, and pay close attention to how your body feels when you wake. If your breath is smoother, your head lighter, your heartbeat calmer, you have already found the balance between the benefits of lying on your back and the safety of protecting your airway. It is a small change, but night after night, it safeguards the greatest treasures of all: your heart, your brain, and your independence. 3. Irregular sleep schedule. Have you ever realized that what exhausts you is not sleeping too little, but sleeping chaotically? There were weeks when I went to bed at 10, then a little later, then later still, and the next morning my body felt like a clock wound in reverse. A heavy head, a heartbeat racing faster than usual, blood sugar swinging wildly even though dinner had been the same. When I looked deeper, I understood that my inner time zone, the circadian rhythm governed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain, had been pulled out of alignment. That rhythm is like an orchestra. Each organ an instrument, melatonin and cortisol the conductors. When we keep shifting bedtimes like flipping channels, the orchestra still plays but out of tune, off beat, dragging everything with it from blood pressure to glucose levels. The frightening truth is that this disruption does damage even when you technically sleep enough hours. Studies on shift workers and people with irregular sleep schedules show that internal jet lag continues even when total sleep time looks adequate. The body loses its morning light cue to reset the clock, Melatonin is secreted at the wrong times, and cortisol no longer rises at the right moment to spark alertness. The first system to bear the cost is metabolism. The pancreas releases insulin out of sync, cells become resistant, and glucose lingers longer in the blood than it should. It is no coincidence that recent data shows people with irregular sleep have a 25 to nearly 40% higher risk of diabetes, no matter how much they sleep. At the same time, inflammatory markers like CRP creep upward like embers smoldering under ash, quietly fueling vascular aging. When the day-night rhythm unravels, even hunger and satiety get misprogrammed. Leptin no longer delivers the enough signal at the right time, while ghrelin whispers, "Eat more," during hours you were meant to be asleep. Suddenly, you crave sweets late at night, feel sluggish in the morning, gain weight little by little, and a few years later, metabolic syndrome knocks on the door. A 2025 follow-up study found that people with irregular sleep schedules were about 30% more likely to fall into that category. The heart and circulation do not stand aside either. The autonomic nervous system, the body's gas pedal and brake, loses balance, with sympathetic drive accelerating just when it should ease off, leaving heart rate and blood pressure persistently high. In patients with heart failure, recent data even shows that irregular sleep schedules can double the risk of serious events, while simply keeping a steady schedule lowers mortality significantly by more than 20 to over 50% in some studies. The brain, home of memory and emotion, suffers subtle but profound effects. Deep sleep and REM both require regularity to unfold at the right times. When you change bedtimes like an erratic pendulum, these stages are shortened and fragmented. Short-term memory falters, attention slips away mid-conversation, mood sinks. A 2024 meta-analysis linked irregular sleep patterns to a 35% higher risk of depression and anxiety, especially in young adults and shift workers. In the long run, it is not just about waking up groggy. The glymphatic system, the brain's nighttime cleaning crew, needs steady rhythms to circulate cerebrospinal fluid and flush away beta amyloid and tau. When schedules are disrupted, that flow slows, and recent surveys show people with irregular sleep had amyloid plaque frequencies 15 to 20% higher. A stark reminder of the stakes for cognitive health later in life. The good news is that this inner clock can be reset not with harsh measures, but with consistent cues. Morning light is the strongest reset button. Just 15 to 30 minutes of natural light, or its equivalent intensity, in the first hour after waking will shut off melatonin at the right time, switch on cortisol at the right time, and bring real alertness. Trials have documented much better sleep quality with only this simple habit. Add a fixed window for bedtime and waking even on weekends. It does not need to be perfect, just keep the variation within about 30 minutes. Before bed, the body loves soft cues, a few pages of reading, some gentle stretches, a slow rhythm of breathing. On the other hand, blue screens at night are like artificial suns, tricking the brain into thinking the day has not ended. Simply limiting them for 1 or 2 hours before bed has been shown in recent studies to cut the time it takes to fall asleep. You might keep a small notebook or use an app to log your sleep times, not for control, but to spot patterns and gently adjust your life around them. If you work shifts, do not blame yourself. Use light as a tool, and lean on strategic naps to soothe the nervous system. And when steady efforts are still not enough, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is a safe path back, helping untie the invisible knots between the bed and an over-alert brain. What I hope you take with you tonight comes down to one decision: choose a fixed wake-up time, open the curtains to the morning light, and lower the screens a little earlier. Your circadian rhythm will recognize that you are calling it home, and day by day, your heart, your brain, and your metabolism will begin to play again as one orchestra. Slow but steady, regular and deep. That is how you protect your health and your independence in the years ahead. 4. Oversleeping, during naps, or at the wrong time. Have you ever taken a quick nap to recharge, only to wake up with your head heavy as though weighed down by clouds, your body groggy, and your night's sleep ruined? I once treated the midday nap as a lifeline in the middle of busy days, only to find that on the afternoons when I closed my eyes too long, I opened them to find the sun already leaning west, and that night, my biological clock felt twisted out of shape, eyes wide open, heart racing, blood sugar moody and unpredictable. Tracing it back, I realized the problem was not whether napping was right or wrong, it was about timing and duration. Nap at the right time, keep it short, and the body lights up as if charged by a fast battery. But nap too long, or at the wrong hour, and the system tangles like a spool of fishing line. The human body naturally dips in alertness in the early afternoon. If you catch that rhythm, a short nap can calm emotions, refresh memory, and restore agility to your eyes and hands. But if you let the nap spill too long, especially into deep sleep, you wake into something unpleasant called sleep inertia. Awake but not truly awake, like stepping out of a room with heavy curtains light too bright, every decision half a beat behind. Worse still, dropping into deep sleep in the middle of the day lowers adenosine, the sleep pressure that helps you drift off at night, so by evening you are not sleepy. The cycle repeats: fragmented nights, drowsy days, and every overlong nap pushes a good night's sleep further away. After 60, the story goes beyond grogginess. Many research reviews show that prolonged daytime naps often mirror poor nighttime sleep, especially in those with sleep apnea. The body demands more rest because the night was broken by micro-awakenings, oxygen levels dipped and surged, the heart worked overtime. You sleep long during the day, but that only pushes your circadian rhythm further out of line, destabilizing metabolism and giving inflammation fertile ground to grow. Blood pressure, blood sugar, waistline, these rarely stay untouched when the body clock is thrown off again and again. This is why someone who naps excessively does not just need tips and tricks, but a closer look at nighttime sleep quality and hidden disorders. The sign that truly made me cautious was falling asleep in the morning. Morning is when the body is programmed to rise, when cortisol takes the stage to start the day. If you are nodding off at this very point, it may mean the brain's central clock, the one that orchestrates day and night, is weakening. Or you may be dealing with a sleep disorder strong enough to break through natural alertness. Recent neurological data even connects extended morning naps with higher risk of cognitive decline later in life, through mechanisms like amyloid buildup when sleep-wake cycles fracture. In other words, morning drowsiness is not always laziness. Sometimes it is a red flag. So how do you make naps your ally instead of a thief of the night? I began with a small promise: only nap short enough to refresh the mind before falling into deep sleep. For most people, the length of a short music album works well. I set an alarm the moment I closed my eyes, so the decision to stop was not drowned out by comfort. I chose early afternoon when the body naturally dips, and avoided late afternoon, because even a slight delay increases the risk of missing nighttime sleep. I even learned a curious trick: a sip of coffee right before the nap. When I wake, just as sleep inertia fades, caffeine begins to kick in, delivering a smooth sense of alertness. I also reset the settings so the body knows this is a nap, not the night's sleep. A cool, quiet room, light dimmed but not pitch dark, an eye mask or earplugs if needed. Most importantly, I never use naps to repay nights that were already too poor. That is a trap. When daytime sleepiness becomes constant, when you nod off in the morning, when long naps still leave you drained, that is the time to consider a sleep study to see if apnea, or another disorder, is silently stealing your nights. What I want you to try today is simple. Schedule your nap at the body's natural early afternoon dip. Keep it short enough to wake refreshed, and firmly say no to long naps in the morning or late afternoon. Let your nap be like a cool towel pressed to your forehead, light and refreshing, not a heavy blanket that pulls you off your daily rhythm. Just one small adjustment, repeated consistently, and you will find your afternoons brighter, your nights arriving on time, and your mornings filled with a body grateful you restored its rhythm. Sleep is powerful medicine. In the right dose, at the right time, it heals. Overused, it backfires. You get to decide which role it plays in your life, beginning this very afternoon. If you have stayed with me until now, you may have realized that the greatest danger does not lie in obvious pain, but in the small habits we repeat night after night. Pressing the body face down in search of safety, lying on the back too long believing it is perfect, shifting bedtimes, as if flipping channels, and letting long daytime naps pull you out of rhythm. They erode the heart, the breath, the memory, and your independence, not with noise, but with tiny scratches on your health, cutting deeper with each passing day. I want you to wake up feeling your neck lighter, your breath fuller, your mind clearer, and whisper to yourself, "So I can change." If you found these insights helpful, Please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you do not miss the next videos. Leave a comment about one habit you will change starting tonight, and share this video with your family and friends, especially those already past 60, so that together we can sleep better, live steadier, and preserve our precious independence for many years to come.